Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE NXT UK episode 74, which was broadcast on January 2nd, 2020. I'm trusting cagematch.net that is the actual episode number. I don't really have a way to verify it other than that. I could go through every single episode, just count them, but that's 74, at least 74 things to count, or maybe less than 74 things to count. I don't know. Anyway, it's been a while since I've watched NXT UK. I decided not to go back and watch every episode that I missed. Instead, just jump into the latest episode in preparation for NXT UK Takeover Blackpool 2, which is happening next Sunday, January 12th, 2020. So I am really, really excited for this show because the matchups that are going to be on there, it's all people that I know. There were just a couple of people on this episode that I'm not familiar with. One guy, they didn't say his name, I feel like. He got interrupted while he was cutting a promo. He got interrupted by Joseph Connors, and I know him, but they didn't I don't think they said his name, and they didn't show his name on screen, so I don't know who that guy is. So I apologize to that guy for not knowing his name and not learning his name afterwards. I probably could have easily learned his name. Like, I could still do it right now. Anyway, but moving forward, I want to keep moving forward in this episode because I learned, I figured out how to play something. I got my keyboard set up, my musical keyboard, this keyboard, all set up for to start using on the podcast in several ways, and I want to try to start learning different musical cues and stuff like that, and add a little bit every episode. And by by the end of the year, maybe I'll be like jamming out like during the entire thing while I'm talking about stuff, just like have my own I don't know. But it's something I would try instead of making these video episodes, which I don't think would make them that much more it wouldn't make them more interesting at all, I don't think. Unless it was like reenactments of everything I was talking about with like action figures or something, and it was all action figures that aren't the action, because I don't have action figures of all the rest. I think the only action figure I have of a wrestler is of Goldberg, and then everything else is what else do I have? I have a bunch of trading cards that would cover a lot of the wrestlers. And some like signed pictures of people, but that wouldn't make for very good action videos. And then some, they're not really action figures so much as they are, like little statues, because they're not posable or anything like that, but all of the stuff from Slam Crate, rest in peace Slam Crate. I assume that it's done with now. I unsubscribed, and the last video of an unboxing that I could find was of the last one that I received, so I don't know if it's still going, or if the latest ones, how long people are having to wait to get those fulfilled because all the Loot Crate stuff. But anyway, so that's why you might hear some keyboard going on later on, but I figured out one specific thing to play, and now that I've been talking for a little bit, now I remember what it is. Okay, so but yeah, I was saying I wanted to get off of what I was talking about so I could get towards the thing that I learned how to play, and instead I am distracted for so long that I also forgot how to play what I was going to play. But anyway, we open up the show with Sid Scala and Johnny. Oh, what is his? Johnny Saint. Oh my gosh. I almost called him Johnny English, and before I said it, I caught myself. I was like, no, that is Rowan Atkinson, aka Mr. Bing, Mr. Bean, not Mr. Bing. That's what's his name from. That's not his character's name, but from Groundhog Day. He goes Bing, Ned Ryerson. Why am I remembering all these other things? But I still don't remember the guy that Joseph Connors. I don't know his name. I still don't know his name. But anyway, Sid Scala and Johnny Saint, they announced that we'll have Trent Seven versus Eddie Dennis at Blackpool Takeover UK, Blackpool 2, and also Jordan Devlin versus Tyler Bate. I only wrote down their first names for some reason, and I don't think about their names often enough to, as on Raw and SmackDown, all those people's names. I can write down Kevin, and I know, oh, that's Kevin Owens. I was like, Jordan. What's his last name? Jordan Devlin. Okay, yeah. Anyway, those two matches look like, I haven't seen any of the story other than the quick little highlight video that they had about these two matches throughout the show. I haven't seen all the story building up to these, just like those quick summaries. And I mean, that's enough. It seemed like they're going to be great matches, so I'm cool with that. So anyway, our first match of the night was Bomber Dave Mastiff versus Kona Reeves. Kona cut a really long promo about all the stuff he usually says whenever you see a Kona Reeves. The Kona, you know what I mean. So yeah, he talks a lot of junk and then gets beaten up by Dave Mastiff. He got that big, what is that? The bowling ball senton or into the corner, whatever that's called. Which I don't know how that's done safely. I don't understand how the person receiving that move just isn't liquefied. But Kona Reeves seemed to have survived, but he did not win the match. Then we had Toni Storm come out. She says she owes an apology to Piper Niven, and Piper comes out, and Toni says, well, I apologize, but I have to ask you a favor. Step aside from this match because I owe Kaylee Ray a beatdown and whatnot. And Piper says, nope. No, thank you. And she walks away. Toni goes to it, like grab her shoulder to like turn around to continue talking to her. I don't think she's gonna to fight her, but Piper just smacks her with a headbutt, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. She didn't mean to do that. It was just an instinct thing." And Toni was like, "Oh, too late." And then they fight, and Kaylee Ray comes out, and she's just loving it. If these two are at each other's throats, then that makes her job easier to defend her championship. So that's a triple threat at Blackpool 2 is Kaylee Ray defending her championship against Toni Storm and Piper Niven in a triple threat. So I'm really looking forward to that match. Then we had Ligero versus Cassius Ohno. Who was I think Tom was saying this in response. Okay, so Ligero was trying to get the upper hand. Like Cassius Ohno was pretty dominant, and Ligero was trying to get some momentum back. And Aiden was talking trash about him, I think it was, and Tom responds, "He's fighting back. He's allowed to do this." It's like that was really great. But Cassius Ohno wins via submission, and he cuts a promo and says, I don't have to win via knockout, being the knockout artist. I can beat them in wrestling or with wrestling. So I thought I like that turn of phrase. I can beat them with wrestling. Backstage in the hallways, Dave Mastiff is like, "What?" He said, "You're the best British wrestler." No way, not in this. He has a very distinct accent that I can't replicate. But he says, "Well, I'll fight you anytime. So there, I'll be waiting. You know where to find me." So I'm sure we'll see that very soon. Maybe we'll see that next week's weekly show. Although at the end of this episode, Tom Phillips signs off saying, "Next up, NXT Takeover Blackpool." And I don't know if he was referring it to that for the guys that were appearing at the end of the show, or if he was talking about everybody, and that we don't have a weekly show next week. We just have Takeover. I don't know. I'm gonna stay tuned. I'm gonna keep an eye out on next Thursday when that episode pops up. If a new episode pops up. Then we had a tag team match. Oliver Carter and Ashton Smith teamed up against the Outliers, Riddick Moss and Dorian Mack, formerly known as Dan Matha. It just felt strange to see these guys out there without their brand manager or whatever his title is with them, their backup, their support, their guy, the brand's Robert Stone. That's his. I couldn't remember any parts of his name at first, but anyway, this match was this was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it. Ashton Smith got the pin on Moss via roll up, which Dorian could have easily broken up, but he was busy showboating. Like, check this out. He's like up on the turnbuckle. We're so great, all that. And Smith got the upper hand and stole that win. And yeah, Dorian was like, "Oh, what the heck?" So yeah, that was fun. Then we had the main event, which was a substantial match. It was like 15 minutes or so. Great stuff for just an hour-long episode. For one match to be that long, that's awesome. We had Ilya Dragunov come out, makes his entrance, and then Alexander Wolf, part of Imperium, makes his entrance. And then, bam! Dragunov leaps into the silhouette entrance stage, and they're just going at it up there. They're still in silhouette. It's so awesome. This is like the coolest opening to a match that I think of. Like, I really liked it. I really liked it, especially for no DQ match, because it does. I mean, yeah, anything goes. Anything goes. So yeah, there's so much that happens in this match. There's stuff with the kendo stick. There's a really insane thing that I can't even remember, because so much stuff happened after. There was something that happened before the kendo stick that was pretty crazy, I thought. But then there's all the kendo stick stuff. He's like has it like jamming it into his mouth and everything. Alexander Wolf was jamming it into Ilya's mouth, and then the table's set up in the corner. There's a steel chair is used. Like he just hucked a chair down at Alexander Wolf when he was up on the turnbuckle and everything. And then Wolf went and like slammed both of his hands one at a time. First his right hand and then his left hand. Slammed him shut into the chair. That looks super painful. Although with the way those chairs, like if you're grabbing in the middle of the chair and it closes, it's not actually hitting your hands. But like the way he was holding his hand, and then when he released it, it made his hand look like it was like swelling up and stuff. I thought that's a really, really simple and effective trick to sell that. I really, really like that. And then anyway, so after that, Ilya hits a Death Valley driver through the table that's set up in the corner. And then let's see. And then he hits the what is it called? The torpedo Moscow. The torpedo Moscow is it's kind of it's like a jumping kick thing or a jumping knee, but it reminds me of the Claymore kick, but it's a bit different from it. But it's the same like full body motion that you end up like horizontal at head level of your opponent. It was pretty cool. So Ilya wins this match, but Imperium comes out, retaliates. They hit the European bomb, which is for a second, because I looked away when they actually hit it. I was like, oh, their finisher has a name now. And yes, their finisher apparently has a name, but it's a different finisher from the finisher that I really liked that they would do last time I was watching, like earlier last year, where they would toss the guy to the other and then they'd hit the power bomb. Instead, we have the power bomb being hit after a European uppercut off of the top rope. So you have Fabian Eichner jumping off the top to hit the European uppercut into the power bomb by Fabian Eichner. So anyway, they hit that on him, and then Walter is up there at the entrance ramp, really enjoying everything. Oops. And Joe Coffey attacks him from behind. And just a bunch of chaos, a bunch of brawling there at the end, and it's got me all excited for Blackpool Takeover 2. Oh my God. So will Walter remain the championship coming out of there? I think this is a great 1 year anniversary. It was of Joe Coffey versus Pete Dunne. Epic matchup between those two for the very first NXT UK takeover. And it was for the United Kingdom Championship. And I have a feeling it's going to go the same way, that Joe Coffey will come up short yet again. And then finally next year in January, he'll finally win at Takeover Blackpool 3, maybe. I don't know. Really long-term storytelling with that one. But so that's a match that's happening at Takeover Blackpool 2. And another match that I did not mention yet was the Tag Team Championship match. We have the champions, Gallus, Wolfgang, and Mark Coffey. So the other 2/3 of Gallus, along with Joe. They will be defending their championships against the other 3 NXT UK teams who are in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And those teams are Imperium, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel. We have Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. And, of course, the other team that I'm trying to remember now, Grizzled Young Veterans. I don't remember their individual names. Zach Gibson and James Drake. Sorry, fellas. So I think it could go any way, because it's a ladder match. It's a 4-way ladder match. It's going to be bonkers. I'm just excited for that. This match just exists, but I want Imperium to win because, first, they're the only team in this match who haven't been the champions yet. And second, that will mean at Worlds Collide, it'll be all the champions versus all the champions in that 8-man tag team match, because it's going to be Imperium versus Undisputed Era, and I think that's going to be pretty awesome. It was announced that this week we'll also see Imperium versus Undisputed Era in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic in the first round. So that means one of them is going to get knocked out, and then I think the other one's got to get knocked out the next week, because it's got to be, the finals of this has to be at Worlds Collide if it's starting this week. And if they do all the first round matches in this week, then that works. Is then they have 2 matches next week, and then 1 match, the semifinal, the week after that, and then no, that what am I thinking? Okay, there's 4 matches. There's only 3 rounds in an 8-team tournament. Yes. So you eliminate half of them. So you have 4 matches this week. Okay, you have 2 matches this week, 2 matches next week, and then the quarterfinals. No, the semifinals the next week, because you're down to, you have 2 matches for that, and then the finals. Okay, it does work out. Okay. Dumb. Just having 2 matches per week, that works out good. Okay, I'm excited now. I was worried that it wasn't going to complete at Worlds Collide, but it is. It's got to. So anyway, I think that's kind of a spoiler that we're having Imperium versus Undisputed Era, because that means whoever loses this first round match, that they will be eliminated before the final. They'll be eliminated in the second round, basically, unless they're both disqualified. That could happen. And then they were premature announcing that match, because that could be a motivation to have that match. Like, oh, you guys couldn't behave yourselves. You just everybody got in there. So let's save this match for later. You're both out of the tournament. And then the second match for the night or whatever gets a bye. But we'll see what happens. That's next week. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this week's episode of NXT UK. So let me know what you thought by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. Stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses, and I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.